Hello and welcome to the Business Level. In today's episode, we are going to talk about job employment, and more exactly job employment for higher types of jobs like marketing, economics, etc. So why do I do this? It's easy. The job market as of today is, how should I say it? Not a pleasant experience for newcomers to the market. Let's take people who, for instance, graduate from colleges or universities, or even people who come back to the job market right now after working for companies for a couple of years. The job market has changed, and one of the driving factors for it was COVID. Of course, it's not the only one, but COVID has done major damages to the job market. And I want to dive deeper into this element because it is not only relevant to me, but also to people around me, even including in my private network, but also my business network. And I have talked with people from all types of life. We have people that do normal jobs like, for instance, cleaning, etc. We have people that do logistics, we have people that work in economics, we have people that work in business management, we have people that work in business development, we have marketeers like me, and others. But what are the key takeaways that I can take away for what's happening on the market? And one key takeaway is it isn't as easy to apply anymore. Back in the day, when you wanted a job, you could go to an office. You could say, hey, I'm interested in your company. Do you have any open positions? And in most cases, they will say, no, there are no open positions now. But if you leave your contact details, we will contact you when a position is opened that fits your profile. And you could give them your resume. Nowadays, that's gone. So the first contact happens digitally, and that's one of the few breaking points of the job market right now. Because if you do it digitally, you only have a piece of paper in front of you. You don't see how the person behaves, how the person is in general. So you don't have a first impression anymore. The first impression only comes when you have already said, okay, these people can come, and these people can't. So that's already bad for recruitment because you lose out on so much potential. I had this conversation with a recruiter a couple of weeks ago, and he said, well, I'm actually calling you because we have a position that is open for someone with 5 years of experience. I see on paper that you only have 2 years of experience, but following your social media, I see that your experience is way higher. And we did the conversation, and he asked me about multiple types of technical terms that we use within marketing. He double checked if everything was correct. And he can know because he used to be a marketeer before he became a recruiter. So he knows what marketing is and did recruitment only based on that. So he said, well, Robbie, you actually are a good marketeer. I wouldn't say that you have 2 years of experience like it is on your paper, but you are clearly 5 years of experience or above, so you are suited for this position. And he gave my profile to the company he was recruiting for, and there was only one minor thing why I wasn't pulled into the next interview. But it's interesting because it shows how the job market is today. Nowadays, companies ask for people with 5 years of experience. If you can't provide that on paper, they will say, well, no, you can't apply with us. You don't have your 5 years of experience. Although the knowledge and the know-how of how to use the tools, etc., is there and is equivalent to those 5 years of experience that they ask for. So, you see, that is already value that a recruiter misses out on. And it's not only in marketing, it's in economics and in other branches as well. But that's one part. Second part is hybrid work system. Due to hybrid working, you can do much more work than before because people are more motivated to work from home. They drive better results. That's why companies are hiring less and less people. They want to do as much as possible in a lesser time frame with as less people as humanly possible because it is also better for the costs. Another driving factor is taxes. Some governments, like the Belgian government, they have done corporate taxes on employees, and they went from a lower percentage to a higher percentage. We are talking till a couple of years ago, in general, a company from a gross wage to a net wage would be 43%, which is already a lot. But nowadays, we are talking about over 50% to even in the 60s. So if you take that change, that's a lot of money, especially if you go from net to brute, because from net to gross. Because if you're talking about gross wages and you're saying, okay, that same employee needs to make the same amount in net, well, now it can cost up to 1,500 euros more a month. So those costs are risen. The companies, they say, well, we need less employees because we can't deal with these costs anymore. That's also a change. But then you also have the pressure from the governments that are saying, well, you need to create jobs. So they put open false positions. They put open a position that they never fill in, and then, well, the position is not filled in, but they say it is filled in. Then 2 weeks later, you see the same ad coming back online. It's false advertisement. It's false marketing even. But they have to do this because they don't have the funds, but they have the social obligations. And this is where the market is really demanding right now. The job market is so jam-packed with talent currently that is looking for new opportunities, for new jobs, but they can't get one. Because the companies itself, they don't want to make those new positions. And that's a bit of the problem. And COVID was an accelerator for this, because due to COVID, a lot of companies had to close down. Other companies, they were looking better into their costs, and they were saying, well, we need to reduce costs because our profits are lower. So due to all of these changes, they try to optimize their systems. But in a way, they make the job market go from a normal platform to the low platform it is right now. Nowadays, you have more than 20 people to fill in the same position that back in the day you only had 3 or 4 people lining up. So these changes are happening and we can't ignore it. And I wanted to make this podcast just because of this, because of these reasons. Now the market in general has stabilized again. The market is even growing rapidly, and I think it's time for the companies to start creating more jobs again, to dive back into what they were doing before COVID and try to bring that line up again. Because if this continues, the job market will be saturated. And I mean saturated. You will create poverty, and if there is poverty, you don't get clients. Everything is in economics, demand and what you have. So the supply and demand, it's the same for the job market. But if there is too much of a supply and too low of a demand, then, well, all of those that are supplying, they don't have the necessary funds anymore to buy their own products that they are doing right now. And if that goes bust, the companies go bust. It's circular economy. You always need to give back to return from it. You can only make profit by investing. It's the same principle. And that's why I wanted to make this little podcast about what is happening on the job market. And it's not only in Belgium, it's not only in Europe, but it's global. Like, look at, for instance, South Korea. I am applying to a lot of jobs in South Korean market because I see a lot of potential there. But the fact is, the companies there, they are still afraid with hiring foreigners. First of all, they were already afraid before COVID for the changes that came to the Confucianism that they have. And now, if you are bringing in the COVID element, well, they got jump scared. They were like, wait, let's hold back, let's not give out visas, and let's stay internal. But by staying internal, you don't create the opportunities anymore for the companies as well. So it's a lost situation. If you want to win-win, you need to bring talent from global sources to your country. The same goes vice versa. We also need more Korean talents that are specialized in IT, in technology, etc. to come to Europe, because here the technology is dying out. So you see what is happening. The whole market in general needs a global situation. And one thing that is helping nowadays is the digital native visa. But it's only a limitation because you can't always use it. It is a one-ticket visa. You can only use it once. So you see the problems that are on the market. I think nowadays, especially for those international talents, they need to make an international passport, a working passport that works in all countries that are depending on it. For instance, let's say NATO as a zone makes a decision, well, we make a NATO passport. Every citizen of NATO can work in any NATO country as if they were a native. If you do that, then you don't have the problems anymore of companies not daring to actually hire new talent. Because if that happens, the talent itself, they can actually come to your company. You don't need all of the 2 months or 3 months of procedures to go before that talent can start work. So you see what I'm talking about. The job market is currently bust, and it desperately needs some help. So governments, please listen to this and make changes. Same for companies, please. Look at global structure, look at global picture. Don't stay within your comfort zone. Sometimes you need to go out, otherwise you can't make profit. You have that potential, but if you can't use it, what is your potential? Nothing. For next week's episode, I want to dive a bit more deeper into this subject, to talk more about what COVID actually did on the market, what happened, what the limitations were, etc. I hope you enjoyed this little podcast of today, and see you in the next ones. Thank you for listening. Bye.